John Felt here, and this is the Blue Water Outlook weekly weather briefing for October 27th. We're just about over with October, Halloween week, and we're going to have some really interesting temperature departures this week and some needed rain in spots. So let's start off by taking a look at the big picture, and this is the next 30 days. Some of these are going to be mainly this week, but it looks like some mild weather over large parts of the nation, especially the central and east, and cooler weather than normal in the west. As far as rain goes, it looks like some needed rain in the central U.S., but the southeast U.S. and the eastern third of the nation look to remain dry. Now, as far as rain went and snow last week, the Pacific Northwest had a Pacific storm, and that's going to be pretty active with several more on the way. The central U.S., that needed rain. And we even had some snow at higher elevations, so the Rockies are starting to be a bit snow covered. Now I want to go back to the rain here. One of the things I wanted to mention with fall is that many areas are fairly quiet. Now if we get into November, we start getting into that more active time of fall, and I talked about that in a post last week. So temperatures were quite mild through the central U.S. These areas in red, 10 degrees, as much as 15 degrees above normal. Some cases it felt still like summertime. The only areas where temperatures were below normal, the northwest U.S. and a few other areas, and even then it wasn't a whole lot below normal. So there's still some warm air around. Anything in orange made it above 85 degrees, that darker shade of orange above 90 degrees, and we're still seeing 100 degrees in the desert southwest. Some cool air as well, and that's in the western U.S., areas in blue in the 20 to 30 degree range, and up at the higher elevations below 20 degrees, a hard freeze. Now it's been really dry. This is the percent of normal over the last month, brown being well below normal, 25%. Only 1/4 of the rain that normally occurs has fallen over the last month, and in some cases zero. I think I put out a graph this past week that showed how many areas were on track to be an all-time driest month of October. So we take a look at the short-term drought indicators here. Anything in red is saying things are really dry, soils are really dry. Sort of interesting here how you can see the tracks of Helene here and Milton, and those had such a role in changing soil moisture profile. So it's very wet in those areas. Okay, so let's take a look at how much rain it would need to get things back to normal. And anything in red or purple, it just needs a lot of rain. So you can see a large part of the nation west of the Mississippi River needs a lot of rain or snow to get us back to a sort of a neutral condition. Matter of fact, those areas in maroon are indicating 12 inches or more. So Nebraska, Kansas, other areas really need a lot of rain. So with that, rivers are running low in many spots. Red is indicating below normal. You can see about the only spots where we have above normal. Remember the rain in this area, New Mexico and parts of the southwest U.S. Had some tropical moisture move in, the Pacific Northwest, and then the tropical activity down in the southeast U.S. Many areas below normal stream flow, and that's still impacting river barge transport. During this harvest season, take a look at areas on the lower Ohio, Evansville, on downstream Cairo, and then the confluence with the upper Mississippi, and that's Memphis and Greenville, blue being unusually low flows. Okay, so let's take a look at the forecast as we go through the end of October into early November. We still have that ridge of high pressure right now, and that's going to bring really warm, record warm temperatures this week. Meanwhile, we have a strong Pacific storm, and that's going to impact the Pacific Northwest. So by Saturday, what we're doing is we're setting up this amplified flow with a dip in the jet stream in the west. That's going to correspond with that cooler weather. And then in the east, that high pressure, and that's going to correspond with some really warm weather. And you can see this here. Next 5 days, that dark red is indicating 10 to 15 degrees above normal. And as we get into early November, remember that amplified flow, sort of like this. You can see cooler in the dip in the jet stream, much warmer in the ridging of the jet stream. And then as we get towards the second week in November, not so much of an amplification. But one of the big stories this week is going to be all the records. These are record high temperatures each day. They're going to be early in the week in the central U.S., and then as we go through the week, they're going to shift into the Ohio River Valley and eventually the northeast U.S. So many records. Look at this on Tuesday, 34 high temperature records. So very unusually warm week, record warm week in many spots. Okay, now we're ending the end of hurricane season, but with those waters so warm, let's keep an eye on it. Maybe some development in the Western Caribbean. I don't think so I don't think I'd worry about this right now, but I'll keep an eye on it, and if it does look like it's going to develop, I'll let you know. Okay, so that was temperature. Let's talk about rain and snow. Well, first off, that Pacific Northwest Pacific storm is going to really ramp up rain at lower elevations and rain and snow at higher elevations in the Pacific Northwest along the coast and the Cascades. This is some needed rain, 1 to 2 inches, in some areas 3 to 4 inches, and I outlined on the drought monitor where that's going to fall roughly, and boy, it couldn't have fallen in a better spot. Actually, there are a few other spots that were a little bit worse condition, but that is really where rain is needed, Oklahoma, and it looks like a good soaking rain in that area, so that's good news. A little bit of snow as well, actually a lot of snow at higher elevations of the Cascades and Rockies, so it's beginning to look like winter in those areas. Okay, let's take a look at the 6 to 10 day and 8 to 14. Well, looks like as we get into the 8 to 14 days, still a lot of above normal temperatures and maybe some more rain in areas that need it, so that's good news. I don't know if it's going to be all that widespread in week 2, but at least there'll be a chance, and that's good. Now, in case you're thinking about Halloween, I wanted to show you here from a certain model, the global model. It looks like it's going to be very mild over the south central U.S., Texas, and then all the east. It looks like trick-or-treaters are going to have some really mild weather. Everywhere else, it looks pretty close to normal for a Halloween. And if you're worried about rain, well, the Pacific Northwest and a narrow band right through here up into the northeast, that's where there could be some wet weather. This is early evening on Halloween. Anyway, have a great week. Enjoy the warm weather because you know eventually it's going to turn to winter, but not this week. Take care.